basin is widespread between the Tian-Shan and Zhongar Alatau mountain ranges. A 100-kilometer wide flatland divides the Tian-Shan and Zhongar mountain zoological and geographic provinces. The Joly River basin is a separate semi-aquatic ecosystem, and the adjacent steppe, desert and semi-desert areas are independent kingdoms, each of which has its own population and independent rules. Altogether, the landscape areas make a unique natural complex called the Joly Headwaters. The Joly River starts from China by merging two rivers, Tekes and Kunges. Tekes starts in Kazakhstan on the slopes of Tverskaya Alatau, and then it flows to China and returns as the river Joly. The total length of Joly River is around 1,439 kilometers, where 815 of which are in Kazakhstan. The feeding rivers Zharin, Turgen, Talgar and Chilik enter Joly from the slopes of the northern Tian-Shan, and Borohudzer and Usek rivers enter it from the southern slope of Zhongar mountain range. During the agricultural season, some feeders do not reach the main basin of Joly River as they are used for irrigation. One of the largest branches of the Great Silk Way passed through the Joly basin for many centuries. The ruins of the ancient city Al-Malik still exist upstream the Joly River on the Chinese territory near the Horgos customs point. The Dao monk Chanchunya, who described his travel through Genghis Khan's empire, mentioned Al-Malik as the capital of Karluk ruler. After Genghis Khan passed away, Al-Malik became the capital of Chagatai Ulus. In the medieval ages, Al-Malik was a large trade center filled with Turkic tribes. In the 13th century, Al-Malik turned into political, cultural and economic center. The first Khan of Al-Malik was Ozar. After his death, his power was inherited by his son Sunaktigin. The Joly River basin winds in the wide valley, creating multiple turns and arms. Wild boar, roe deer and other animals are hiding between the creeks on the islands covered with riparian woodlands. The riverside forests of the Central Asian rivers are called riparian forests. The riparian forests in the Joly upstream consist of Asiatic poplar, oleaster or silverberry, purple willow, Joly barberry and other plants. In the fall, when sweet oleaster berries get ripe, the pheasants gain fat quickly. In the morning and in the evening they start to roll call. The forest gets full of loud clatter. Not only the pheasants, but the wild boars as well get attracted by the bright red berries. The desert poplar, Asiatic poplar, is a relict tree. The bizarre shapes of these trees bend as if in oriental dance remind of the 1001 Night. Fish groups move upstream Joly for spawning. Asp and bream are the first ones to move upstream, followed by carp and silver carp. The Barbell sturgeon starts to move in June. Catching this rare kind of fish, of the sturgeon, is prohibited. Hunting farms are responsible for the protection of animals in the river basin.
В весенний период обычно рыба поднимается с по дельте реки или на нерест.
In spring, the fish usually moves upstream the Joly River from Kapchigai. So it turns out that we preserve the fish resources as well. Now we see people who use electricity to kill and catch fish. And that causes great damage to nature. Don't come here with electric fishing rods. I understand when someone is fishing when it's not the spawning season. It's okay. He uses fishing gear with hooks. You never know if you will catch it or not. But please don't come here with electric fishing equipment. We punish for that. The Uzuntam fishing farm has sections of desert, steppes and floodplains. Every section has its own set of animals that can be found only in specific types of landscape. The game managers call such set of animals and plants biota. Each kind of animals requires special protection and special measures of biotechnical support. For instance, wild boar at the game reserve are fed with corn, and the pheasants are fed with grains. For roe deer, hay and licks are prepared. But the real pride of the farm is the Persian gazelle or white-tailed gazelle. These graceful creatures seem as if they are flying on their thin legs. The male gazelles have thin lyre-like horns, and females don't have them at all. The Persian gazelles are typical for deserts and semi-deserts. For several days they can stay without water, but 2 or 3 times a week they need to drink. The Persian gazelle inhabit deserts of Kazakhstan, Western and Central Asia, including Jungaria, Southern Mongolia and Northern Tibet. Until the middle of the 20th century, the Persian gazelle lived in Kazakhstan almost all over the semi-desert and desert areas. It lived everywhere from the Caspian Sea to the Joly Basin. But over the past 50 years, their number has dropped dramatically, and the Persian gazelles remained only in few, very well protected areas. According to the latest records data, this area has over 300 species of these beautiful animals. They have a semi-settled way of life, make small seasonal migrations, and during the rut they get in large herds. The Persian gazelles have rut in the middle of November. This time the herds split into small groups of 3, 5, sometimes 6 animals. Each group is led by an adult male. This time, adult males keep young males away from their females. After the end of the rut, the Persian gazelle get back in herds or keep in small groups until spring. In the fall, the Persian gazelle from other gorges come to Uzuntam, and for a certain period of time their number reaches 500 animals. The mating season of the hoofed animals is called rut, and during this time the animals often chase each other. The protection of animals included in the Red Book of Endangered Species, including the Persian gazelle, is entrusted to the state enterprise Охотзоопром, but the hunting service of the hunting area should also participate in protecting such rare animals. The main danger for the Persian gazelle is from poachers, so the hunting service Охотзоопром and the local police department often undertake mutual night raids.
Сколько штраф за джейрана?
Ну, за джейрана около.
What is the fine for killing a Persian gazelle now? For hunting a Persian gazelle now, they initiate a criminal case. And the fine? It's almost 1 million tenge now, as well as the criminal case and confiscation of property, poachers' weaponry, vehicle, rifle, and up to 3 years of detention. But it's up to the court, not us. In May, each female brings 1 or 2 calves. The young feed on milk only for a short period of time and soon start to feed on vegetation. Young gazelle grow very fast. By the fall, young gazelle grow to almost the same size as their parents. In the following year, the young females will bring calves. Males take part in mating starting from the age of 2.5 years. A grazing gazelle can be noticed only at dawn or dusk. By the end of the day, the gazelles slowly reach the Joly shores. They rest at night. In the spring and early summer, when the lush green vegetation is in abundance, the gazelles can stay without water. During winter, the gazelles feed throughout the day with a short break at lunchtime. The natural enemies of gazelles are wolves and foxes. Foxes are mostly feeding on small mice. During and after lambing, the foxes also hunt young gazelles.
Волку надо 3 килограмма мяса в день. Вот и посчитайте, сколько 365 дней в году.
For example, a wolf needs 3 kilograms of meat per day, so count 365 days a year. How much meat can it eat? Gazelle, deer, wild boar, as well as farming animals. Both large horn and small horn cattle. We have very small number of cattle on our territory, mostly the hunting game. So the wolves eat them, the gazelles, wild boars and the deer. The river Uzuntam starts from the slopes of Tian-Shan and Alatau mountains and flows towards the Joly river, but it doesn't reach the main river basin as it spreads along the wide Uzuntam flatlands and makes two lake systems, Ashim and Sorkul. Shallow lakes have thick red growth. Aquatic birds nest here: ducks, geese, loon and swans. In the fall, when the young birds start to fly, the giant flocks of aquatic birds fly from Ashim system to Sorkul and back. Kafricat and jackals live in the reed. In the spring, the Joly feels small nearby lagoons where fish is moving in. Outright fishers expect their catch here in the shallow waters, the grey herons and loons. In spring and summer, ducks live a private life. They nest in thick reed, and in the middle of August they start to get in flocks, getting ready for a long flight to warm countries. Elegant swans are included in the Red Book of Endangered Animals. Two kinds of swans can be found upstream the Joly: mute swan and whooping swan. They are easy to distinguish. The whoopers emit long sound during the flight, and the mute swans only make a whistling sound with their wings. The Uzuntam area is famous for its mineral waters. This area is called Marked by God. It has up to 140 geothermal springs, and all of them have different composition. The geothermal springs are divided into warm 20 to 37 degrees centigrade or hot 37 to 50 degrees and very hot 50 to 100 degrees centigrade. Some of them contain radon and others are rich in minerals and mineral compounds, also having medical and health improving effect. Since ancient times, people noticed the therapeutic properties of mineral water. The places with hot water coming out were considered as sacred. Near such places, you can often find a tree with many ribbons. There is a definition that is used for calling a spring a hot spring if its temperature is higher than the average annual temperature of this area. The modern part of medical science, using the therapeutic properties of underground water, is called balneology. The specialists prescribe certain types of baths depending on illness or condition of the person. The radon springs are not recommended for more than 15 minutes of stay, and the baths without radon are good for much longer time. Some people come here to get better health, others just for a vacation. The number of tourists is increasing from year to year, providing the locals with additional income. Uzuntam has a good combination of therapeutic, environmental and